Hello guys, it's the Fuzzy Unibrow here, and today I'm bringing you a Halo Wars 2 video, and today I want to talk about basically the first impressions that I've had about the game, and overall impressions. I think I just said the same thing. Anyways, um, the reason why I'm doing this is because today on the official Halo Twitter account they announced that today will be the final day for domination in the beta, as they will undoubtedly roll out another game type that will be available for the original game whenever that releases back in February, or in February rather. And the first thing that I want to point out is that this beta actually had a rocky start. There were some glitches that I ran across during my first gameplay. There was one where you would get stuck on a waiting for player screen despite the fact that the game already started. Also, immediately afterwards, actually, when I quit the build to get out and then try to search for a new game, once I pressed start on the start menu, what happened is that once I pressed start, it tried to load the tutorial cinematic and it would just freeze. One way to bypass that was immediately tapping B after pressing start, and that's how you bypass that glitch. All of these things were fixed after the first day, fortunately for all of us. And the second point, and this is probably the biggest point that I have to get out, right off the bat when I played this game, I immediately noticed that it seems that Creative Assembly went to a great length to take rushing out of the game. And for those of you who don't know what that is, rushing basically is your ability to spam out a decent-sized army of warthogs if you were playing as Anders, and rushing your opponent with these warthogs and taking them out of the game. Really, that was the only purpose for you playing as Anders, because if you tried to get into a late game with Anders, you were screwed, especially if your opponent countered your faction-specific hawks. And what this did, what it required basically was maybe 10 or 15 warthogs that were semi-upgraded. They had the gunner and the grenadier researched, and basically you would rush your opponent. Now, while you were doing this, you were also trying to upgrade to Gauss cannon. And the reason why I say that they tried to nerf this, or at least get it out of the game, is because of two reasons. One, you spawn with 5 Marines. Your base already has turrets on them. Plus, the reactor got nerfed. It's no longer called the reactor in this game, it's called the generator. And the generator is not as powerful as the reactor in the sense that in this game, in order for you to upgrade existing buildings, like let's say you want to upgrade your supply pads, they not only require supplies, they require power. And power is slowly generated at the beginning of the game. Also, the generator also requires a decent amount of power to upgrade, along with supplies. In order for you to gain access to the Warthog or any other vehicles, to be honest, you have to upgrade your base, which also takes a good chunk of power and supplies away from you. Not really supplies, those are easily gained. And really, if they really did take out Rush from the game, I may be the first to say that that is not a smart decision. If you are playing Halo Wars 1 and you are playing a 3v3, you allow yourself to get taken out by an opponent who is rushing you, you deserve to lose that game. And the reason why I say this is the following. No one should be stupid enough to not create a decent-sized army to at least hold off a rush opponent. I mean, come on. It's not that hard. It's common sense. You create a small enough army at the beginning to hold off any early attacks. As the game progresses, you build the army that you want. That's how it should be. And anybody who uses Anders and tries to rush should be punished for doing that. And it does happen if you counter their rush. Also, rushing isn't easy. You can't just sit there and spam warthogs until all your population is gone and then wait until they're all fully upgraded and then attack your opponent. By then, your opponent probably has a small army of tanks which will just shred your warthogs to pieces, as I once bared witness to a long time ago. third point that I want to point out is the importance of teamwork on domination. The map that was given to you in the beta really stresses the importance of teamwork. If you don't push out and get objectives early and often, you will be struggling for position, for control of the map. Because really the prime piece of real estate is the A capture point. And the A capture point, really, if you capture it first, you should be able to hold on to it for the rest of the game, assuming that you build up your army while capturing these points. Taking A takes a lot of effort. Because usually early on in the game, you capture 2 points, and then you try to capture those in the middle. If you get an even number, or if you get a 2-for-1 on those objectives, you should be fine. After that, if your opponent basically grabs A, you're fighting for A. You're also probably fighting for C or B, whichever side of the map you're on. And really at that point, if you lose on your attempt to try to gain A or C or B, whichever one, you're basically trying to fight from behind, and it doesn't exactly work in your favor. Another point is veterancy. In the first Halo Wars game, veterancy was eventually acquired for units. For example, a standard Marine unit will gain a star of veterancy after multiple combat situations where it survived. In this game, they introduced command points, which allows you to gain access to more abilities like healing your units with medical drones, or the Mac Blast if you're Cutter, or in this case, veterancy for Marines. Now, when you get the first veterancy, literally after one battle, you already gain a star of veterancy. And for those of you who don't know what this is, veterancy basically means that, for example, a 3-star Marine unit in the first game could easily take on a Spartan, a Spartan without any upgrades, at the very beginning of the game. Literally could handle it, no problem. And it was slowly acquired throughout the process. Not only that, but Spartans were useful in this game, or in the first Halo Wars game, I should say, in the sense that when you put Spartans and you place them in command of certain vehicles, I think they gained immediately 8 stars of veterancy. I could be wrong. I'll put a disclaimer in the video somewhere, like a text that says, false, it was so-and-so or whatever. But they were pretty powerful, and of course as you upgraded Spartans, they gained more and more stars of veterancy. After more and more battles, they gained more. And the importance of these units is that if you kept these units alive and they continued to acquire more and more stars of veterancy, it didn't matter if the opponent had an equal-sized army. They were screwed, because your units were harder to kill than theirs. And they continued to have to pump out new units while you had veterans, so to speak, fighting on the battlefield. And the final point that I want to point out is domination. Like I said, you have to acquire the points relatively quickly on the map, the capture points. A is the biggest piece of real estate on the map. If you control it, you should win the game, because the opponent is so focused on getting it that they have basically ignore everything else, to be honest with you. Unless they are a smart player who thinks ahead and says, I'm going to distract you here while I go take your other objectives here. But one thing that I really noticed, and I know that it's the beta, but this game ends relatively quickly. All of the games that I had usually end somewhere between 18 and 22 minutes. That's pretty fast. You know, most games where it's an even match usually last somewhere between 40 minutes to 2 hours. I'm not sure if that's deliberate to make people more interested in the game, or if it's just because for beta purposes. But either way, it'd be interesting to see what the final build looks like. So there you have it. There's my first impressions and final takeaways. Hopefully, I hope you liked the video. You can subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you next time.